Hey ladies and gents, welcome back to my channel. Thank you very much for coming back. Today I've got a little special video for you. So for the rest of February until the 28th, which is the Golden Globes, very excited, we are just kind of in a void of nothingness. Yeah, we can keep thinking and speculating, but we aren't expecting any big nominations from any other award ceremony such as the BAFTAs or Oscars this month. So I wanted to just kind of fill those gaps in, those days in until the Golden Globes, with just some reviews, but also some fun videos. And I wanted to do some rankings of the supporting actor race, the leading actors race, directing, eventually picture, stuff like that. And today I want to start off with Best Supporting Actress. But before I get into that, ladies and gents, please remember to like, subscribe and comment. Any feeling extra generous, just to ding that little bell. And also scan these barcodes, go to the link in the comments, or go to the names directly on the screens to follow my social medias. Back in the day when women's rights weren't great, the only performances that women would get would be these damsel in distress leading roles. The supporting actress race would be very weak back then. Very, very, very weak. They'd nominate like the maids in the films, really random people who just shouldn't and wouldn't get nominated through no fault of their own, but just because women weren't getting roles in films outside of these leading damsel in distress ladies. You never got these strong characters, especially strong female characters. However, as the years have come, and we're not there yet, but women's rights have got better, and we've got some much more strong female leading roles, we have seen some good progress. Which is why Octavia Spencer in The Help as the maid comes in at last. Not the performance. It's a great performance, but in my opinion, it's an example of a bad, great performance because she's fine in it, but this is the one performance out of this whole list, the only one that I just dislike. I think this role is a great example of a film surrounded by white savior, and she's meant to be presented as a strong, independent woman in the film, but throughout the film, for example, when she leaves her abusive husband after she's been beaten up and she goes back, it's Jessica Chastain's character who helps her, and she doesn't have much of a character arc. Even though she's presented to be a strong character, she's actually quite fundamentally weak, and I think for black rights, for female rights, this performance sets it right back. Looking at the other nominees, this is actually quite a weak year in supporting actress race. If I had to choose, I may have actually given it to Melissa McCarthy for Bridesmaids, because that's a great comedy film that's still remembered today, and she is the best thing in that film. So I guess that's the best kind of incentive to give the award to. I can understand why they give it to Octavia Spencer. She's a fantastic actress and other stuff, and it was her time to give the award. I just completely disagree with them giving her the Oscar. It's not very good representation at all. From here on in, we're going into performances that I actually really like. The Octavia Spencer performance is the only one I dislike, and it saddens me to say I really like the performance. Patricia Arquette comes in at number 9. It's a great performance, and she goes through the emotion throughout this film, from sadness to great happiness to being in an abusive relationship. But to be honest, I feel like the real incentive to give her this award was because it's a fantastic performance and the fact that it took 12 years to make. I'd say it's definitely Oscar nomination worthy, but when you look at this list, I'd say she's like the third best. I think that a lot of this performance comes from her own personal experience of being a mother, and I don't know whether that should add to why she deserves the Oscar or why she doesn't. I've just seen plenty of films, examples of mothers who play the exact same person as she does, and they don't even get Oscar nominations, nor do they get into the Oscar talk or race. And I just feel like this award's purely on the fact that Boyhood didn't want to go empty-handed. She was the doomed frontrunner. It's the most Baity performance and the most Baity thing in the film to give. I can't say I'm completely upset with this win, because it would have been sad if Boyhood went home empty-handed. Because even though I did like Birdman a lot more and I was happy to see it take Best Picture, it's still a great film and a fantastic achievement. And it's nice that it got something, but I would have 100% preferred seeing Laura Dern or maybe even Keira Knightley win. Coming at number 8 is Alicia Vikander for The Danish Girl. Great performance, but there are some things holding me back personally from loving it and things holding me back from having it higher. One, complete Oscar bait. She plays the wife of a man who's going through the process of becoming a transgender woman in a time when that was illegal, and she's having to go through the heartbreak of knowing that eventually the marriage just won't work out. Not only that though, but fear for what it will be like for him, because it was fucking illegal to be gay, to be transgender, anything. And that is such bullshit, and I'm glad that it's represented in films. And Eddie Redmayne, I'm not his biggest fan at all, but he is actually brilliant in this film, and it was nice to see him get the nomination. But like I said, Alicia Vikander's role is complete bait. It's a film with a lot of crying, a lot of slobbery crying. She just doesn't kind of like raise the roof. She's very close to, say if like this is the roof, she's here, and she's nearly pushing through, but she doesn't do it for me. And I would have loved to have seen Kate Winslet win for Steve Jobs, and Rooney Mara, Jennifer Jason Leigh, and even Rachel McAdams, I'd say, are all more deserving in this category because they're all more supporting roles. This is just a classic case of category 4, where it may have been the best performance, but it's in the wrong category just because they know they have more of a better chance of them winning there. If she was rightfully put in leading actress, I'm not sure what the chances would have been of winning, but Kate Winslet would have definitely have won because she won everywhere else where Alicia Vikander wasn't campaigned in supporting. Right, from 7 upwards, this is what I consider God tier performances. So please don't think I'm taking a shit on Anne Hathaway's amazing performance in Les Miserables of why she's so low, because she's amazing. She gives one of the best performances in a scene out of the whole decade. You all know what I'm talking about. The scene where the one take shot of her singing I Dreamed a Dream, her character about to get killed, she's there crying. It's like Viola Davis and Fences. Get to that. Slobbery crying, snot, tears. And it may be baity, but it doesn't change the fact it's a fantastic performance. And that scene alone probably won her the Oscar. And the rest of the film, I'd say she's definitely Oscar nomination worthy. A few things put me off putting her higher. This award felt less genuine, like they genuinely really want to give it to her, because she did a lot of Oscar baity things to get this award, like she actually shaved her own hair for the film and she campaigned herself aggressively hard. And I always struggle to enjoy watching someone win an Oscar when it feels so fake. Like, I've always believed that there should be no campaigning for the Oscar. It should be the Academy members should do the right thing and watch all the nominees and decide themselves what is the best performance alone. When someone just campaigns themselves heavily, it feels a bit fake, so it makes me struggle to relish in this win more than I should. However, this performance is totally deserved, and if she didn't campaign herself as hard as she did and didn't go for the Oscar as much as she did, I'd put it higher. But that being said, out of all of these nominees, she's probably the rightful winner. Amy Adams in The Master, probably my personal pick, but she's definitely a close runner-up, and I take no offence in Anne Hathaway winning. Number 6 is Melissa Leo in The Fighter. I love The Fighter. I think it's one of the best films of the decade. Next to The Social Network, it's my second favourite film of 2010. I love it. Yeah, I do. I thought I did. I own the Blu-ray of it. I think it's just an amazing bit of cinema. A great film outside of technicals in terms of directing, acting, screenwriting. In terms of those elements of filmmaking, perfect. I love The Fighter. Melissa Leo's character in The Fighter really reminds me of my mum if she was from Boston. This just very strong-willed woman who also has a very sensitive and emotional side, loves her family, wants the best for all of them, and it is just genuinely one of those performances that just kind of tears you apart. And whenever you see her on screen, you shouldn't really root for her. She's not like the most vulnerable of people, but you just can feel her love for her family. And it just makes you love this character and you want to see her kind of get what she wants in this film. If I could have chosen who would win this award this year, Haley Steinfeld in True Grit was an incredible performance, completely stole the show. However, another example of category forward where she should have been a lead. So you know what, in terms of the best supporting actress, Melissa Leo definitely deserved it. Amy Adams I'd say is right behind her, but come on. Let's give it to Melissa Leo. If you haven't seen the Oscars where Peter O'Toole gives her the Oscar, it's the most hilarious thing ever. Not only Peter O'Toole announcing the winner, but Melissa Leo's speech is also just hilarious. The first time someone ever says fuck in the Oscars history. Go watch it. I'll leave a link in the comments. Number 5 is Laura Dern from Marriage Story. Now, a lot of people would be really surprised to hear this if they know me personally. Because first, I was completely against Laura Dern winning for this performance. I wasn't even sure if I wanted her to win because I was like, she doesn't do much, she's very one-dimensional. And when there were other nominees like Florence Pugh, who could have won, who is equally as amazing a Little Women, I was like, come on, why are they going to Dern? Because I'm not a big believer in the whole it's their time thing. I just think it should be on the performance purely. Marriage Story was actually my favourite film of last year, which made it more odd. Like, you'd think I would just want it to win. When I rewatched Marriage Story the second and third time, I picked up on it more and more, and now I love that performance because Marriage Story is a perfect example of an amazingly acted film. This is one of the best ensemble acted films ever made in my opinion, and the snub at the SAGs forever will make me sad. And whenever Laura Dern is on screen, even if she's in the same frame as Adam Driver, Scarlett Johansson, and even the understated performance of Ray Liotta in that film, She completely upscales him in every way. She steals the show. And I can't believe I didn't pick this up the first time round, but second or third time round, I completely got it. And I was just completely for, yes, Laura Dern, thank God I've changed my mind. And thank God you did win the Oscar, because honestly, you did deserve it. And I'm happy that I had got to have that moment where I realised that, because I now realise how much she actually did deserve the Oscar. And she would have actually got my vote if I was in the same mindset and I was a voter. Which I'm not. I probably never will be, but truth hurts. Right, I know I said from Anne Hathaway up it's God tier, but from 4 up, it's like, holy shit, this is amazing. And number 4 to 1 could all be my number 1. I love them all. But coming at number 4 is Regina King, and the best thing of an incredibly understated film, If Beale Street Could Talk. Very much Melissa Leo in The Fighter, actually. She's this very strong-willed woman who will do whatever she needs to do well for her family, but equally has this insanely emotional side, this insanely sensitive side, and she just wants the best for people. She just wants the best for her daughter. She'll happily fight to the death for her boyfriend to be acquitted for being wrongfully accused of rape, one of the worst things that can happen to anybody in society, man or woman. This performance already reeks of a film that could win the Oscar, whoever plays it, but I just can't imagine anybody else but Regina King playing this role after seeing it. She just is just perfect for it. I don't think anybody but Regina King can play a character so strong-willed but equally just so vulnerable as she does in this film. That final scene with her in would have won her the Oscar in general, but she's fantastic throughout the rest of the film, and I'm so happy that she won. Out of all the other nominees, don't get me wrong, Amy Adams, Marina de Vries, Emma Stone and Rachel Weisz were all worthy, but she was definitely the most worthy, and I think her BAFTA and SAG snubs are just criminally criminal. That's how bad it is, and I'm just so happy that she got to win the Oscar in the end. Yet another performance of a strong-willed mother, who I would like to say right now is nothing like my mum, thankfully. Alison Janney in I, Tonya is the scariest woman you could ever see on the street. She's one of those people that everybody in your estate knows, and you point at the house and you go, oh, that's where Mrs. Battersby lives, the evil old lady who abuses her kids. That's Alison Janney in this film. She is like J.K. Simmons in Whiplash. Fucking scary. And the reason why I have her so high is because I, Tonya is a great film that was snubbed for Best Picture, and when you walk away from I, Tonya, the thing that I thought about most was Alison Janney's performance. Now, when you think about the fact I loved I, Tonya, I'd give it like an 8 out of 10. I thought it was a great film. I thought Margot Robbie killed it. I thought the editing was insane. I loved the score. I loved the writing. When I walked away from it and all I could think of was Alison Janney, that shows how strong her performance is. And honestly, looking at this list of other nominees, I'd say she deserves it. I would have liked to have seen Laurie Metcalf win for Lady Bird. Wow, a lot of people playing mothers in the supporting actress race, because she had the same effect to me as Alison Janney did in I, Tonya, but I would say Alison Janney does have the edge, because they both did the same thing for me, but Alison Janney just gives the more subjectively better performance, in my opinion. Number 2 is Viola Davis in Fences. I would like to say, oh, just another performance of a woman playing a mother, but performance is so much more in Fences, which is why it gets the edge for number 2 over what I did have originally as Alison Janney. Because Viola Davis is just so emotional and heartbreaking in Fences, and really reminds you of this issue in society where women don't do what they want and don't fulfill their dreams in life, because they instead be the stay-at-home mother and just follow the tradition of their husband going home, working the traditional 9-to-5 job, and them just having to part with it. And then when it comes to their deathbed, they feel like they succeed in nothing. And it's such a sad truth of society. And I think that's the thing that Viola Davis goes most understated for in a performance, is really bringing that to life and just showing how devastating it is to feel like you've done nothing for your life. Also, you can be polite and make the other person in your life happy, when really the most important thing in life is self-love and knowing what you want. And unless you have kids, putting yourself first, which is also why she feels conflicted, because you decide to have children with this man, and then that's just another thing kind of pushing her back. And I love that final scene in the film where she tears into Denzel Washington and just tells him like what she's done to him, but she does it because she loves him, but he doesn't appreciate her. And honestly, looking at these other nominees, what a great year. I would have happily have seen any of these women in. Naomi Harris in Moonlight, I'd say is equally as good, but when you're Viola Davis, and because she's in it more, and it is almost a case of category forward, because I would say she's almost a lead, I would say Viola Davis definitely deserves the edge. My number one, how can you disagree with me? Not only one of the best performances of the supporting actress race, but in like the top 5 performances of the decade. Lupita Nyong'o in 12 Years a Slave is one of those performances, after you watch the film, you'll be pandering over it, and it will break your heart, and it makes you feel guilty about being a white human being. It literally makes you feel bad about who you are and makes you reflect on how lucky you are that you're treated the way you are in society. Lupita Nyong'o could have just been another slave in another slave film, which is sad that to put it like that, but it's true. Her performance, as well as the writing, makes it so much more. And like you couldn't imagine how devastating slavery is already, she upstages Chiwetel Ejiofor and just really, really like just forces into your face even more how devastating slavery was and what it did to people, and how it still to this day has affected society, because it's not just how it was at the time, but its knock-on effects and the collateral damage of it, and how we still have black oppression in 2021, and it just needs to be sorted out. But then there's the fear of how can it when it's so forced into society at this point. Now you would think her performance would be like J.K. Simmons in Whiplash, where it'd just be like, here she's just going to win, but it was a bumpy road for her because she missed Golden Globe and BAFTA, where Jennifer Lawrence won for American Hustle. Now I don't know about you, but if Jennifer Lawrence won, it would have been such an insult when they could have given it to one of the greatest performances of the decade. And I can imagine people were scared this could have happened, because where did Olivia Colman win before until she won the Oscar? Golden Globes and BAFTA. So it very well could have happened. I can imagine the voting may have even been close. And I'm just so relieved that it did work out in her favour, because it is the best performance of that lineup. Maybe in of that year. The Oscars will never have gotten over how criminal would have been to not give her the win. And not only that though, but people wouldn't have let them forgotten. It would have been every single year, it would have been Oscars, make sure you give so-and-so the award, you don't want another Lupita Nyong'o. So I can imagine they feel like they've really saved themselves there, because unlike Jennifer Lawrence in American Hustle, Lupita Nyong'o in 12 Years a Slave has stood the test of time, and people are still talking about it. But anyway, ladies and gents, with that, that's my ranking of the Best Supporting Actress winners of the 2010s. Agree or disagree? Let me know. Leave your rankings in the comments. As always, remember to like, subscribe, and comment, and if you're feeling extra generous, just to ding that little bell. But until then, so long, ladies and gents.